All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Heavy Checklist podcast. Today, I think you're really going to appreciate what the content that we came up with, because it's something that's kind of a mystery. It's something that really kind of bamboozles and confuses and flat out scares a lot of people. And I'll just tell you right now, we're going to be talking about mortgages. We're going to talk about the mystery and the science and the good and the bad of what a freaking mortgage is, because there's so many people that just don't quite grasp what a mortgage is, how to get one. I remember, I can't remember how many years ago when we first got married, I started thinking, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get a mortgage. These things seem unattainable. So that's what we're going to get into tonight. Our guest, his name is Matt Arnold. We call him Billy Luber, and we'll get into that as well. And Matt Arnold is a good friend, an amazing artist, and the best mortgage guy in the United States of America, probably in the world. Only reason I don't say world is because I've never tried to get a foreign mortgage. And it sounds like a terrible process.
And probably one of the happiest dudes you'll ever meet.
One of the happiest dudes you'll ever meet. One of the most interesting dudes you'll ever meet. You got an insanely cool story. So welcome to the show.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Billy Luber. I'm going to call you Billy Luber because that's what we call you.
Oh, yeah.
So you, my friend, you do mortgages, right?
Yes, sir.
Mortgages, if you don't understand them and you don't work with them every day, they're complicated and confusing.
A lot of times, and that's the thing about mortgages is they scare people.
Yeah.
They make them intimidated.
Weren't you going to tell a story?
I'm going to tell a story.
Or are you going to wait?
No, I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to get into the story. I did want to, basically I'm trying to leave a little bit of a hook right now for the listeners, because This is not like when you hear mortgage, you're going to think, oh, nah, I'm moving on. Like I'm good. Either you might think I already got a mortgage or whatever. I promise you the information we're going to give you tonight is going to be something that if you don't have one and you want to get one, this will be like gold to you. But if you have one, trust me, this is very important, because all the options with refinances and when you go to buy your next house, like a mortgage is not something that you just go out one day and say, I'm going to get a mortgage today. Like it takes some preparation, but that preparation is really, really simple if you know what to do. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to debunk some of the bullshit and simplify the process so that I want every listener here to be able to go buy a house. Like there's no reason you shouldn't be able to.
Full disclosure too, I had a house 4 years ago, went through the injury, and we were like, man, we just got to get into a house. My wife was worried about where we were going to live. Anyways, I'm in the process right now with Matt working through it. So I'm really stoked on this episode.
Yeah. So that, so to my story, Matt, Billy Luber, Matt Arnold. There's two names here. And if you hear the name Matt or Billy or Luber, we're talking about the same guy. This is the dude. So my wife and I got a mortgage. Well, I can't remember. It was like our third or fourth mortgage 4 or 5 years ago. We were getting ready to look at maybe building our dream home, but in the meantime, we needed to find just a spot to stay. And so we ended up buying this condo. And who introduced me to you? Jason Briggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a mutual friend of ours basically came to me and he's like, I have the best mortgage guy in the world. And I'm self-employed. I have been my whole life. Marcus, you've been self-employed your whole life. So historically speaking, getting a mortgage when you're self-employed is a nightmare. It's a mess and it can be really hard. So my buddy Jason was like, look, just deal with this guy. He's the best there is. I'm like, all right, I'll give him a shot. So I call him, and one phone call, like maybe 20 minutes into the phone call, he's like, okay, we're good. And I'm like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, I got what we need. I'm like, hold on, dude. Like, do I have to go to the bank, or how does this work? And he's like, no, I'm good. I got it. Because Matt runs this full service mortgage brokerage where basically you go out and you take somebody's information like myself, and then you shop it to all these different mortgage companies, right?
Exactly.
So rather than me having to drive around town to go shop mortgage rates, all the banks, you do it for me. But where he really stepped up was all of a sudden there's these weird like documents that underwriters basically at a bank. Matt, what's the best way to explain an underwriter? It's like the wizard behind the curtain, right?
Oh, yeah.
They just, anytime, it's like the banks play good cop, bad cop with you. The guy at the bank who's telling you, yeah, I'll get you a loan, he's the good cop. The mortgage or the underwriter is usually the bad cop. He's the one that's like, oh, I don't like this or I don't like that. And so anyways, they were requesting these documents. I'm like, oh man, I'm busy. I was filming the show. We had so much stuff going on. I'm like, all right, I'll try to scramble and find them. And Matt's like, no, like I got this. I'm like, dude, you can't there's some, I got to go to my bank and get this statement, get all these things. And he's like, I got this. And so I was like, okay, we'll see if this guy actually delivers. Dude, he starts I think you were on hold for like a day and a half once with one of my banks trying to get some stupid paper that somebody requested, somebody needed, but you went through and you bent over backwards to be able to get that process done. And you made, as a self-employed guy, we closed on our loan in like a week and a half, 2 weeks. It was like freaking nothing. And I was just shocked, but I had never met you. I had never met this guy. I just talked to him on the phone. And so I'm thinking like suit, tie, like this dude has got to be Wall Street, like to a T. And we go to the closing for our house, and we get to the title.
You never met him to that point?
I had never met him. No, I had literally no idea what to expect. But when you talk, you expect like this. Like when you talk mortgages, you are very polished, very professional. You know your craft like very well. Sit down, the mortgage company, my wife and I, or the title company, and in walks this dude with long hair and like a little bit of a scruffy goatee. And I'm like, okay, the janitor, what's he doing in here? Like, what's this guy? But he's wearing like a button-up shirt maybe. Yeah. It was like as dressed up as you get. And he sits down, he's like, hey, I'm Matt. And I'm like,
wait a minute.
Hold on, what? And I'm like, cool, this is like one of my dudes. Like I'm bearded, he's bearded. I'm like, all right, man, this is like, I was not expecting that. I was definitely not expecting to see this mortgage guy who is so damn good at what he does. But at the same time, he's just a regular dude. And I don't want to say rough around the edges, but compared to like your average real estate guy, your mortgage guy, it's probably safe to say that you don't fit the mold as far as who you are. But then I start finding out a little bit more about who he is. And we start talking about, I can't remember, maybe building trucks and painting or something. And all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I do a little bit of like spray paint work. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like watercolors, like paintings? And he's like, no, like graffiti. I'm like, you're a graffiti artist? He's like, yeah.
A damn good one.
Yeah, that's what I do. And I'm like, come on. So I think you had a freaking book with you.
Yeah.
And we started talking, you started showing me pictures, and he started showing me all these pictures of huge walls and murals and stuff that he's painted with spray paint. And it looks like it's like done by Picasso. Like this stuff, it is not the standard, like when you go look at an old railroad car, the graffiti that you can't even understand what it is. This is like beautiful art. So I'm like, dude, this is pretty cool. Maybe we should get together on a project sometime. I didn't really think much of it outside of that. We stayed in touch, and I think maybe a month or two later, I was like, hey, I got a project here at my shop. I want you to come paint. Next thing you know, you're painting all the bay doors out here at my building. And so if you've ever seen our shop, if you just go to my Instagram or my Facebook, take a look at like some of the murals on our building. Now they're everywhere. Those are all done by this guy right here. And it is like, dude, what did you paint? You did an American
Freedom
flag
bus
on our hangar door that was 50 feet wide by like 20 feet tall. Would that thing take you like a full summer?
No, well, it took me about 6 weeks to do your 3 bay doors and that hangar door.
Dude, it was not, and it was like heat of the summer. And it was one of these weird summers where it was like really stormy and windy. So every day he's out there like trying to spray paint, and then dust is blowing against it and just like kicking your ass. But it's some of the most beautiful art I've ever seen. And it looks like it was like printed. Like it's freaking great work. So before we even dive into the mortgages real quick, I want you to explain to me how a guy that some scruffy kid from West Valley who was a graffiti artist growing up is now like one of the, like I said, the best mortgage guy around. How does that happen, dude?
It's funny because a lot of people will ask me that when they find out I do art or see any of my art. They're like, what? You work in finance? That doesn't even make any sense. But really, like, that's the great thing about mortgage is it's very detail oriented.
Right.
And that's what really makes me a great mortgage officer is I pay attention to all the finite details.
You like the details.
Yeah.
Just like you like painting. Like if you look at any of Matt's paintings, very detailed. It does not look like you did it with a spray can, because like the texture and the layers and the colors, it is incredible. So looking at your paint now, I'm like, that makes perfect sense. Now I understand why he's so thorough and so detailed. So, but how do you get to the point where, I mean, you grew up in a rough city, right? Rough town, rough.
Where was that? Are you from Utah?
Yeah,
West
I
Valley.
grew up in West Valley.
And if you don't know Utah, for those of you who know Utah, you know the West Valley is. I don't want to talk bad about West Valley because that's your hometown, and it's a decent place, but it is a rougher.
It's got some hood.
It's got some hood, yeah. So you grew up on the streets of West Valley.
Oh yeah. In fact, it's funny is a lot of people ask me. I spray painted a VW bus on the side of the road in Draper, and like all these people were stopping and like looking and talking to me, and these soccer moms would stop and they'd be, "Hey, how'd you learn how to spray paint?" And I was like, I grew up in West Valley. And they're like, oh.
Makes perfect sense.
So do they have like classes out there? And I'm like, kind of, it's one of those things.
Yeah, it's at midnight out by the rail yard.
3 a.m.
So how does that work? Do you just go out one day and with some buddies and you're like, I want to learn how to tag?
Oh, yeah. So
You call it tagging, bombing, paint, like there's all kinds of names for it, right?
Oh, yeah. So it was basically back in the 90s, new school skating was really big. And so like we, got rid of our big heavy boards and started, more skinny, baggy jeans.
Double kicktail.
Oh, yeah. I know this. And so it was just part of the culture.
Yeah.
I was just starting to spray paint.
And so you just, part of the culture, started learning, and obviously you probably stood out a little bit, or you took it further than your buddies, right?
Yeah. Well, some of them, like, honestly, are still just some of the most amazing artists I've seen.
Yeah.
They just, what happens is you grow up, and unfortunately, if you get caught doing any sort of vandalism, it's a Class 2 felony.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah. So it's one of those things when you get to be a big year old, you're like, hey, I probably got to hang up the can.
Right.
Yeah.
That's got to be a thrill, though, dude. Like some of the paintings I've seen on like freeway overpasses. I mean, some of the stuff, like I don't know how you do that. Like you're in a public spot, a highly visible, highly trafficked area, and you're laying down like really great art, really detailed art. Whether it's, I mean, some people use it for gangs, and gangs do it to tag. Why do they do that? Do they tag their
territory
with it? Is that kind of they mark their spots? You weren't necessarily on that side of it. You were more on just like the creative side of it, right?
Oh, yeah. Just
So
quick stuff.
that has evolved and snowballed into something that you're like super passionate about still, right?
Oh, yeah. And that's kind of the cool thing is when I had not picked up a spray can in probably like 12 years.
Wow.
And then somebody heard that I could still spray paint. And they asked me to spray paint a 1906 double-decker bus.
I remember seeing that one, yeah.
And so, anyway, that was like one of my very first things that like I started back up on.
And you've done haunted houses, you've done all kinds of stuff, but what was unique when I started to get to know you is I found out that you don't really like to be hired to paint. It's not necessarily, you're not out there looking for paint work.
Right.
And it's because I think you told me you don't want to turn what you love into your living, right? You don't want to turn that into like it takes the fun out of it when somebody tells you what you have to do.
Exactly. And the other thing with it too is, when we first sat down, it was one of my, I quoted one of my favorite football players, and that's Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
And he's super passionate about football. And when he signed his first really, really big contract, everybody was like, oh, what are you going to do now? You got all this money. And he said, listen, you pay me from Monday through Saturday. Sundays you get for free.
Oh yeah.
And that's how I look about, at doing paint. It's
Right.
like you pay me Monday through Saturday. This is my Sunday.
Yeah. And it is like, I didn't realize when I first started having you paint here in our building, it's been 3 years now, I think, maybe 4.
Just 2, actually.
Has it really?
Yeah.
Only been 2 years? So when I first had you start painting, I did not realize the impact that experience would have on all of us, because it went from, hey, paint a couple bay doors to now all of a sudden you're one of our best friends and you're like best friends with all the guys in the shop. And I think you told me it was a really therapeutic experience for you as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
What do you get out of painting what's the benefit that you get out of it?
Really, so every day with mortgage, it's one of those things where I really have to concentrate. I really have to be detail-oriented and rely somewhat on other people.
Yeah.
And with paint, it's 100% me.
Right.
Nobody, I count 100% on myself, and I can throw on my headphones and listen to music and just let it all go. The logical side just shuts off.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I'll be here at 3, 4 in the morning.
I mean, dude, you got to understand, this guy, I think I've seen you on a ladder in a wife beater with headphones on more than I've seen you in any other setting. Like, I walk in and out. We're all here late, and I'm like, there's Matt. He's up on the man lift, and he's painting, and you are like zoned out.
Oh, yeah.
What do you listen to when you're up there?
It just depends. A lot of it's just background noise.
Yeah.
Like, I'm embarrassed to say, but like when I very, very first started painting here, it was funny. His plumber comes up to me and he's all, hey, what are you listening to? You listen to some hip hop, some R&B, hardcore rap, Eminem. I'm like, Taylor Swift, man. And he's all, oh, okay. I was like, hey, man, I know she ain't thug, but that shit's pretty upbeat, man.
Dude, I love it. So, and that's the thing about you is you're full of surprises, dude. Man, there's so many different ways we can go with this conversation. I love your story. I love talking about like the creative side of painting, and I think we can get more into that here in a minute. I do want to, let's dive into the mortgage stuff right now, just because that's what people need to hear. And then as we wrap up towards the end of the podcast, I want to talk a little bit about some of the trials that you've been through and some of the stuff that you've like overcome, dude. You're like a new man right now. So I think you're the best version of Billy Luber ever. So I can't wait to see what the future holds for you on that side of it. But let's talk mortgages for a second. Let's break it down, man. Let's break this down. And we call this obviously the Heavy Checklist podcast. And the reason for that is because we like to leave people with like things that they can do right away to start working towards accomplishing their goals. Big goals are very important, but big goals don't mean anything unless you have like a way to get there. So, how you get there is by accomplishing a set of smaller tasks, which are actually goals in and of themselves. So with that said, let's say I think our average listener is probably about a 30-year-old, between probably 25 and 35 years old, men and women, but these younger families that are kind of either just getting started or they're 5-10 years into marriage and they're just figuring things out. So what would be, let's say I'm a young family and I want to buy my first house. What do I do? What's the basics?
Well, the very, very baseline that I can tell you is there's 4 C's that really matter in mortgage. And the very first one I'm going to tell you is credit.
Credit.
So when a lot of people, when you're younger, you don't really think about it. You're just like, oh, I got this credit card. I'm going to go buy stuff.
Right.
And then you rack up your credit card and all of a sudden you're at 22% interest and you're making your minimum payment and the thing never goes away.
Dude, schools do not talk about this though. It's like taboo. You can't talk about it. And it's so bizarre to me. And that's why I really want to hammer home. In fact, I'm a little teaser here, a little bit of I tell way too much. I give away way too much information on here because I get so excited about it. I have this concept that I've been working on for about 5 years now. And it's basically a financial program that's designed to help like demystify finances. And it's it's kind of an institution. It's going to become an institution that we're going to target people like me and like you and like guys who don't necessarily come from a financial background, but want to learn how to use financial products, want to learn how to use credit and stuff like that. So basically simplifying it and making it more attainable. So that's one thing that I got my first loan when I was 16 years old, and my parents were like, this is your credit. This is like your word, your bond, one of your most valuable things. And I'm lucky my parents taught me that, dude, because so many freaking people grow up not knowing what it is. They're like you said, I got a credit card. It's free money. And then the school doesn't tell you what to do with it. Nobody tells you how to build, protect, and like continue to nourish your credit. There's nothing out there. And it's so bizarre to me. Like there's plenty of people that are willing to take your money to go like repair your credit. And I'm doing the air quotation things right now, because that's kind of a scammy industry. Like it's full of a lot of, empty promises. But dude, why should we have to get to the point where our credit's already damaged? Why can't we start building it right from the get-go? And that's what I want to talk about. And that's what, obviously, that's number one you're talking about, right? Because without credit, you have nothing.
Oh, yeah. And that's like, back in the day, it used to be that if you walked in the door, interest rates were based the same. It was almost like sales tax. You walk in, everybody got the same rate,
right?
Unless I sold you a higher rate to make more money.
Right.
Well, they've taken that all away. So we're all paid exactly the same on every transaction. I can't make more money off of you or off of any sort of differentiative rate. But the lender, what they've done, now that's only true for mortgage brokers. I should take that back. So like banks, they can fluctuate everything. They can make more money, different things. But the biggest thing with it is, depending on what your credit score is, they have what they call loan level pricing adjustments. And that's where people don't understand. Like when you're driving down the freeway and you pass a sign and it's like 3.875 and you're like, oh, why am I getting 4.5?
You're right.
You're like, you're screwing me, man. You're doing me dirty. And it's basically they're quoting a 60% loan to value, meaning that you have 40% equity in your loan, and you have a 760 plus credit score and all of these great things. And that's why they can get that interest rate. But people that have those things, they are more or less like unicorns.
Right.
So
They are for sure. I mean, because like I said, nobody's been taught how to use this tool.
right.
You have it, and whether you like it or not, you have a credit score. If you have a social security number, you probably have a credit score.
Exactly. And so basically with credit, that's why it's so important. That's why it's the number one C, I'm going to tell you. When you establish credit, you want to make your payment on time. You want to pay more than your minimum balance, because they've started doing this thing called it's trending credit.
Right.
So they don't just look at your score anymore. They look at your history over the last year. Is it growing? Is your balance is growing? Are you getting deeper in debt?
Right.
What kind of credit depth do you have?
It's always been a frustrating thing for me, because I got married right at the tail end of the recession. We got married in 2010. The recession destroyed the mortgage industry, destroyed people's credit, destroyed everybody's ability to do anything as far as finances go. And so we got married, and I remember thinking, like, maybe I'll have a mortgage when I'm 40 or 50. Like, that was my thought. I could not picture myself, because at that time it was so locked down, so tight. I didn't think it was possible. And it took us a few years to be able to get there. And now, obviously, times have changed a lot since then. But I had done a lot with my credit to protect it, but I had done like stupid things that I didn't even like pay attention to. I had a college library that I was in college for, remember, 3 weeks. I bought a book or something on a college credit card, and I forgot about it, and it like $30 sent me to collections. And so I went to go get a loan for a car loan or something, and they're like, no, sorry, you have like a 30-day late on your credit. And I'm like, what is it? What is I don't know what that is. And that
See what college does for people nowadays.
Dude, it's student loans. That's one of the big killers on people's credit. So I did not realize the consequences for something that I didn't even really know existed. And so I learned really quick, and I started digging in there. But like you're saying, there's ways to start building this profile so that when banks look at you, they're like, oh yeah, he's not as risky as you might think. But it's like an art form, because where I was going with that before was, it's frustrating to me because this score, this weird magical number, I'm like, don't judge me. Don't tell me that I can't make my payments based off of whatever your, algorithm says. But I think it is what it is, and it's in place because it probably works really well, even though it's frustrating to the people that it works against. It's something that the banks have to have, because that's the only way they're going to be able to have any sort of like assurance that you're going to pay them back. Right?
So yeah, and that's actually where the credit score came from. It was basically built to look at your risk of going into bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So the lower your score, the higher probability. And so when you look at credit scores and what make up a credit score, there's three major portions to it. There's other like ancillary things,
right,
but a third of your credit score is built on balances to limits.
Right.
So if you have everything maxed out, then your credit score is going to be lower. So like mom and dad, they always tell you, oh yeah, consolidate everything, put everything on one credit card, and then that way you only have one payment. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because if you can have 5 credit cards at 50%, your credit score is going to be higher than if you have one that's maxed out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a third of your credit score. The other part is obviously pay history, depending on if you're paying your bills on time or not. And then the last thing is what kind of credit you have.
Payment history is number 2, right?
Yeah.
That's the second pillar.
And then what kind of credit? So if you only have like installment debt, your credit score isn't going to be as good.
What is installment?
Like a car loan.
There's installment and revolving.
Yeah.
Revolving would be your credit card. Installment is they gave you $20,000 to buy your card. Now you're paying every month and you're chipping that down. Whereas with your credit card, you have a $10,000 limit. You're going to pay it up and down and up and down.
Got it.
And that's one thing that I learned is I learned to start like exercising my credit and working it out. Meaning I would run a balance up, like strategically on one card in a month, wait a month, pay it down. Next card, run it up, pay it down. So they're seeing that you know how to manage your money. That's what they're looking at. They're like, okay, look, he had $4,000 on there 1 month. He paid it right back down. He's not leaving this because that's what everybody makes the same stupid mistake. And nobody ever tells you that this hurts your credit because you're like, I'm making my payments. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I didn't file bankruptcy. Well, leaving these large balances on your credit is killing you because it may not be instantly like bringing your score like down like a late payment would, but it's not letting you grow. And more than anything, like you said, when a lender goes to look at it, they're like, nah, this guy can't even pay off a $4,000 credit card over 6 months. How's he going to pay us back on a house?
Oh, yeah. So is that the best thing to do with a credit card is to use it and then pay it off?
Oh, yeah. And the other thing, like, if you can make your payment before it's due, because that's the thing is everybody thinks that credit is ongoing. Everybody that reports to credit has to pay money to report to those bureaus. So if you wait until your bill actually comes out, then that's what's going to be reported to the credit bureaus. So if you rack up, like, let's say I have a credit card that I use for mileage. And so like I'm constantly just using it.
Yeah,
and so,
Sky Miles.
Exactly. So when it comes due, that's the balance that gets reported to credit bureaus. So I always try to make my payment prior to my statement coming out.
So it brings it down a little bit.
Exactly. So that way when it hits the credit bureaus, it only shows like a $500 balance as opposed to however much I've popped on it that month.
Makes a lot of sense.
Dude, I'm so stoked we're talking about this because it's just, unfortunately, this information doesn't make it to most people until it's too late and they actually have to start like backtracking.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing I've talked about. Like in high school, you'd think they'd teach you how to balance a checkbook. I mean, honestly, that's like kind of an important, skill set. But I took homemaking. I can make you an apron if you need it.
Exactly, it's more important to know about.
Is that an offer? Because I'd love an apron.
I will knock one out.
Yeah, home ec.
My birthday's May 6th. All right,
but dude, that's the
coming
thing,
up.
that it's called home ec, and that stands for home economics. Why are they not teaching you this stuff, dude? Why are they not teaching every high school kid as soon as he graduates to go buy a piece of real estate? Right. They're not though, dude. It's mind blowing to me. So I have always felt like I'm on a little bit of a mission to kind of educate people on this because like I said, I was fortunate and I attribute a lot of my success and wealth and everything that I have today to the fact that my parents made me learn this stuff early on. I remember being so frustrated when I was 16 and my grandpa was willing to sell me a car for like dirt cheap. And I was like, yeah, grandpa's giving me a car. And he's like, okay, go get a loan. And I'm like, what? And he gave me a great deal on it. He didn't make any money on it, but he basically told me like I had to go figure out how to get a loan. So I was 16 years old and I went out and established my credit early on. And obviously it's helped me a ton, but I want everybody who's listening.
Wait, you got a car? You had a car?
My Jeep. Remember my blue Jeep?
I just remember the Blazer.
That was financed too. I bought every car that I had in high school starting at 16 years old was financed because I didn't have cash. I came from a lower middle class family that never had any money. And I just had to figure out how to get my stuff when I wanted it.
I'm just still stuck on you had a car.
A Jeep. I never had a car.
We call it a Jeep. It was instead of a car.
It was a vehicle. Yeah, I never had a car. I've never actually owned a car in my name, I don't think.
That's what I was a little weirded out about. You know what I mean?
It's always been Jeeps, trucks, SUVs. So there's credit, Matt, and I think that's something that we'll probably spend, like I said, I'm developing this program to help people understand how to use it. So let's give some basic tips on that. Talk about, let's see, if you have a credit card, use it, but pay it off. Do not go stack balances. It's good to have multiple credit cards, right? Mm-hmm. And use them kind of like...
What's the benefit of that? Because I have one that I generally just use for my business for Sky Miles. What's the benefit of having multiple?
The way I understand it is it shows that, you're responsible with multiple, abilities to use credit. But at the same time, and Matt, you can help me with this, it's also been a negative thing to me sometimes when banks see that I have too much opportunity, even though I've used it responsibly. I think I was told this, and like I said, maybe I'm wrong, that if I have 4 or 5 credit cards with big limits, that's almost scary to some financial institutions because they think that that I have too much freedom.
That it depends. So that's kind of the cool thing when it comes to credit scores. And this is another thing where people come in and they're fully mistaken. Is there's 53 different algorithms to calculate a credit score. So when you go into get a car loan, they're going to get a different credit score or a credit card. So like if you're tracking your credit score on like Discover or American Express or whatever, it's going to be different than if you come in to see me.
Because they use the FICO, right?
Yeah. So we use it's Experian 2. Like there's different algorithms that we use. So we use the 3 to give you your credit score. So a lot of times people will come in and they're like, oh yeah, I got like a 780. And then I pull their credit. I'm like, dude, bro, you got like a 630. And they're like, what? No. And it's like, yeah, sorry, my man.
Where are those differences? Is it happening between the different bureaus and the way they report?
Well, it's because we only use a certain 3 different algorithms, and then we take the middle of the 3.
Right.
And like, so if you go to get a car, they're using whatever, algorithm they're pulling, because there's 53 of them.
Right.
So they get to look at it in different ways. So that can be true, like having too much opportunity, like going to buy a car. But for me, as long as your limits are low, your credit scores are high, that's a good thing for us.
Gotcha.
And part of your credit score is made up of depth. So like the very first thing, my daughter, when she turned 16, I got her a credit card.
Because it's history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when she goes and she gets older, then all of a sudden she can get other credit because she's got credit depth and a history, and she uses it, I don't know, never, but it's my credit card, but it reports on her credit.
Someday she's not going to live with you, and she's going to need to be able to have a credit score.
Exactly.
I'm grateful. My wife, she did the same thing. She was fortunate enough to have a dad that taught her like a credit card and stuff like that. And when we got married, she had a phenomenal credit score and she had some history. So it's a big deal. So if you don't have history, if you don't have a credit score and you've always thought like, what do I need it for? Like, it's not a big deal. I don't need a house until, however long. Start doing it now, because the sooner you do it, the sooner you're going to learn how the system works, and you're going to be able to leverage it, and you're going to get better rates. You're going to save money on your mortgage payment. Like when you're talking a couple of percentage over a lifetime loan like that, dude, Matt, how much money is that? You're talking like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that you're going to save just because you were a little bit more prepared with your freaking credit.
Exactly. And the best thing that I can say, honestly, like, your parents did it for you, but not every parent does it for their kid.
Right.
And so for any of your listeners that have kids, improve the world by teaching them this and helping them, like co-sign with them, get them credit.
Well, so what should our generation do? If there's guys like Mark, how many credit cards do you have?
I have one. But what I was going to say too, what about my wife? Like you mentioned your wife having a credit card. Right now, as far as our relationship, I mean, everything's in my name. Credit cards, the loans. Is there any kind of benefit to having her have her own credit card or anything like that? You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Rewind back to 2008 when the whole market crashed. I was in the throes of it. That was my life. I lost more money than I'd like to, talk about in the space of like 2 weeks. Jeez. And it was just like, gone. Well, everything was in my name, but my wife had some credit. And so then all of a sudden, like as everything kind of fell apart and I was late on my credit cards and like staying up on as much as I could, I needed a car. And so what did I do? I went and got a car loan in my wife's name.
Yeah.
And so what it does is if you can differentiate it and separate it, then it gives you opportunity to protect one or the other.
That makes a lot of sense. I need to go get her credit. So if I have a credit card, they call me all the time and they're like, hey, add another person onto your credit card. Is that the same thing, or does she need to get her own credit card?
Different.
Yeah, it's a little bit different as being an authorized user. But if you get like any sort of credit card and add her on, you both do it at the same time, then it works. If you add her on to like say your bank cards, like your overdraft protection, different things like that, that'll give her the depth. And that's kind of the cool thing is like, that's one thing that we'll do for people. Like if their credit scores are lacking, they have lack of credit. Like they have 1 or 2 trade lines and one of them has a 30-day late. Now all of a sudden 50% of your credit's bad.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's why having multiple credit lines is sometimes good. So what we'll do is we'll have them go to their mom or their dad or their cousin or brother, whatever, and be put on a credit card. And then all of a sudden, you have to wait for it to come through organically. It takes about 30 days, but as soon as it pops, they get all of that history.
Oh,
and
really?
Suddenly, they have 72 months worth of pay history that they've never been late on.
I did not know that. That's probably one of the most hidden gems that you're going to get out of this podcast. And I did not realize that. And I'm going to repeat it so you guys understand. If you don't have much credit history and you've never used loans and anything like that, and you're looking to get a mortgage or getting some sort of like car loan, like Matt just said, talk to a family member, somebody who has established credit, and have them put you on as a what is the
Authorized user?
is it authorized user?
Authorized user or co-borrower or anything like that.
Co-borrower, yeah, whatever it is. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to use their credit. You're not going to, don't even have them give you a card. You just want their credit attached to yours because all of a sudden, bam, you get backdated. Dude, that's nuts. That is huge.
I'll tell you, I won't use any names, but there's somebody that we're associated with that we did that for, and he went from a 560 to a 680 in 30 days.
Dude, that's nuts. That's huge. That's huge. Don't you think like a guy like Marcus, shouldn't they go apply for a $1,500 credit card and his wife use it for groceries every month and they just pay it off every month because it's just showing the responsibility, right?
Oh, yeah. And you get the mileage and different things like that. The cool thing about it with like having your wife build up her credit is, for what it's worth, it gives you a lot of pride. And like to know that, hey, I have good credit. I can go out and do things. I can accomplish stuff. If I want to go buy a car or a house, I have the opportunity that I can do that.
How often does it help when a couple comes to you and they both have credit versus just one or the other?
Quite a bit. In fact, one of our... They're not supposed to do it, but they do. And it's the underwriting engines that we use. It's an automated system. AUS is what it's, automated underwriting system. It'll come back and tell you that you're a higher risk.
Wait, underwriters aren't real people?
Not all of them.
Oh my goodness. This whole time I've just been demonizing these poor people like in the basement telling me no. Now it's a freaking software.
It's a mixture.
Wow.
But the AUS, it'll come back and say, this loan's a higher risk because there's only one borrower.
Yeah.
And it can strengthen it if there's two people.
Right.
And it's just, they look at different like risk levels with stuff like that. It's like I had somebody call me the other day and they asked me about buying dirt.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, I want to buy this lot. Isn't that easier than buying a house? I'm like, no, it's harder. They're like, why?
Banks don't like dirt.
No, because if things get tough, are you going to make your house payment or are you going to pay on your dirt?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a good point. I learned that early on too, but I never really understood why or how because I'm like, oh, it's an asset. But you're right. I never understood that. I don't want to lose my house, but if I lose a vacant piece of land, I don't live there, so I'm okay.
Exactly.
That's interesting. So I'm Joe Blow, and now I'm starting to learn about credit. I'm starting to figure out, these different tips and tricks. Anything else that these people can be doing that are stuff that they could start doing today as far as like working on building this credit?
That's pretty much the long and the short of it. I mean, I always tell everybody, just start small.
Yeah.
You don't have to go like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?
Right.
If you live in Utah or the West, RC Willie is who I tell everybody to go to. The reason why Warren Buffett bought them is not because they were selling furniture.
They're a bank.
Because they're a bank.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
RC Willie, for those of you who don't know, it's the largest, I don't know if it's the largest, but it is a massive furniture chain here in Utah. Is it outside of Utah now too?
Yeah, it's in Nevada. I want to say Idaho.
And they've got a great selection of furniture, really nice experience, but they can get you can go in there with zero money and walk out with a lot of furniture because they're going to get you set up with a payment plan, and they report to the bureaus, which in turn starts building your credit.
I bought my bed at RC Willie on their credit program deal, said, hey, I want that bed. And they're like, all right, cool, take it and pay us $100 a month. Yeah. I was like, all right, deal.
One thing that I learned that really helped me, because if you're anything like me and you get busy and a little scatterbrained and stuff like that, and you had a lot going on, I had a couple 30-day lates a long time ago on my credit simply because I just forgot that there was payments due. And it's not like I didn't have the money. I could have easily paid it. It was $40 or something. So after I got my second one, I was like, F that. I'm never doing this again. So I went through and just put all my credit cards on monthly ACH. So it just paid every single month, no matter what. This is a funny story, actually. I did that because I was so terrified of getting any late payments. And so on the first of every single month, my bank was getting $150 or $200 or whatever my payment was at that time. Well, I forgot about those and they were on, and they paid off the credit card but these were 2 or 3 years ago. I just found out, this is funny, this great timing. This was what's today? Wednesday? This was last Friday. I noticed a charge on my bank account that was just an automatic ACH to one of my old credit unions. And the only reason I realized it is because I recognized the name, but I don't use it anymore. I'm like, why are they taking money? Called them. They're like, yeah, you had an automatic ACH going towards a credit card. Looks like you paid that card off 3 years ago. You got $17,000 in savings. I was like, whoa. I called another bank. No, I looked down to look at another to see if any more charges were going out. I found 3 banks that I've been sending ACHs to. It was like $27,000 that I had just paid to these accounts that was just sitting there because I had set it up to pay these minimum payments, but over 2 or 3 years, those minimum payments stacked up and I just had a bunch of money sitting there. So I would strongly suggest that you do that because that way you're not going to miss payment. You're always going to be on time because regardless of how smart you think you are, how like disciplined you are, we make mistakes and we forget. And one dumb little 30-day late, I don't know how much they affect anymore. I don't use my credit as much anymore as I used to, but I don't know. Like back in the day, I remember 30-day late was a big deal. I wanted to go get a car loan and they're like, what's going on here?
Yeah. It makes you'd be surprised how big of a hit it'll give you immediately to your credit scores.
Oh yeah. It can bring it down like 100 points, right? Like quick.
Oh, yeah. Especially if they report you 30 and that you're still have that outstanding balance.
Right.
Because if you're currently delinquent, oh, man, that's not.
Well, they won't. Most people won't even give you a loan unless you get caught up on what you're delinquent on, right? Like, because they're not going to give you money or an asset, and potentially there's going to be a judgment or something against you. Like, it's just nasty. So I know a lot of the listeners probably are dealing with like crap, like they're in the depths of credit hell. Is it possible to escape from that?
Oh yeah, definitely. It takes time.
Yeah.
You can try to go the easy route and have somebody quote unquote, fix your credit. It actually creates more problems when you go in to get loans because if you've disputed an account and it automatically removes it from your credit score.
Right.
So if you have like a 90-day late and you dispute it, it's smoked out of your credit score. Well, I have to go back and have it undisputed because I have to figure out what your real credit score is.
Oh, gotcha.
So
you have to do that with everything that's been disputed on people's credit?
It depends. Not all the time.
Yeah.
But like with VA and FHA, a lot of times they'll come back and they'll be like, okay, these accounts are disputed. You need to undispute these so we can figure out exactly what your credit looks like.
So even though you got it removed from your credit, it's not really removed.
Exactly.
Because you have the ability to go back and say, not so fast.
Right.
We even though it's gone, we still see it.
Exactly. Because it reports on your credit, it just says that it's in dispute, so it removes it from your credit score. Yeah. So when credit repair companies say, oh yeah, we'll get your credit score up 200 points, piece of cake. Well, yeah, they just go through and dispute everything. That takes 10 minutes. You can do that on your own.
You just send in a letter.
Yeah. I dispute this.
Right.
And then the credit agency will come back and say, no, you were really had this foreclosure, I promise. We know. We got your house back and you really did a number on it, man.
Yeah.
You let a dog live in there for 6 months, didn't you?
Dude, it's so funny. There's people that abuse the credit system. They know it so well that they're habitual at I knew a guy that was he was filing for a BK every couple of years. Just bankruptcy. It was in fact, I don't know if you follow the Susan Powell case. It's always been super fascinating to me. Her husband, Josh Powell, the guy that obviously killed her, that was his MO. He would go rack up a bunch of debt, bankruptcy. Rack up a bunch of debt, bankruptcy. And he left Susan's credit good because they used that to buy stuff. And so it was this crazy thing that he did. And I listened to a podcast about that, and it talked all about how he worked the system so well. He just learned what he could and what he couldn't do and used it. So don't be that person.
See, there you go, Marcus. Yeah, that's why you got to get your wife some good credit here, man. Start working that system, brother.
I'm going to start getting me some new fresh threads, max out the credit card, and take out bankruptcy.
There you go.
That's, I think, the important thing. I don't want to hash too much more on credit, but a lot of people are taught that credit's bad. They're taught that borrowing money is bad. I disagree. I think borrowing money is a great thing if you have a plan. If you go in and borrow some money, you went and bought your bed. You did not plan on buying that bed, putting it in your room, and then just saying, F-U-R-C, Willie, I'm not paying you back. You said, I have a job, I have a house, I have a family, I need somewhere to sleep. I got a plan to pay this thing off.
So I've paid primarily cash for all of my gear in my business, all the stage, sound, lights, and that sort of thing, except for I bought one big sound system. And my goal has always been, I don't have a problem borrowing money to build a business, but I just need to know how I'm going to pay for it. You know what I mean? So that sound system, I knew that I could rent it out, and I found people that would rent it from me in advance, bought the sound system because I knew it could pay for itself.
Yep.
You know?
And that's going back to why I met Matt in the first place. A few years ago when we got a mortgage on the condo or whatever it was, we'd had multiple mortgages at that point. I didn't need a mortgage. I had cash to pay for the house, but I can make more money using my cash in my business than I'm going to pay an interest rate. So I'm happy to use the bank's money and make money on my money. And that's very common. A lot of people do that. So even though, you know, everybody's goal is get your house paid off as quick as you can, there's pros and cons there. Like, just having your bunch of cash, like if you don't have a way to work your cash and use your money, great, go park it in your house. But there's better ways to make money than just having it sit in your house.
Thank you, Kawasaki. I bought my last 3 dirt bikes with 0% interest over a full year. I'm like, man, I got the money to pay for it. Why would I do it if I could just pay this thing over a few months and
Especially
keep all
if
the
you're
money in my bank
responsible.
account?
And I'll even tell people that, like, yeah, go ahead and buy a motorcycle. Like, that's not like, that is not irresponsible. It is not irresponsible, in my opinion, to go buy a car or something like that if you get it financed, as long as you finance it responsibly. Now, going and paying 12, 15% on a loan because you got bad credit and Kawasaki's like, nah, dude, we're gonna charge you. Like, that's probably a little irresponsible. Maybe you should pay cash. But I've never been a big believer in always having to pay cash for everything. I love using debt when you can learn how to like use it in your favor.
Exactly. And that brings us to the next C. I mean, honestly, capacity.
Oh yeah.
And that's, you want to be able to live within your means. You know, that's
Debt
so
to income.
Exactly. And so many people come in to see me and we'll sit down, and honestly, it's a rarity. I would say it's 1 out of every 20 people that come see me say, this is where I want my house payment to be. What will that get me? They say, okay, I want my house payment to be $1,500 a month. How much will that afford me? Most people roll in the door and they're like, what's the maximum? I need the maximum.
What can I get?
All of it. You know, and so that's the biggest thing is, if you look at it and look to buy responsibly, that's what's important. Because you'd be surprised. There's an ongoing joke around my office because somebody will come in and be like, oh, man, what's the max? What's the max I can get? So I'll pre-qual them and I'll say, all right, 350, but that's it, man. No more than 350. But it's all right. I know what's coming a week later. 375 is what they just offered on a house. Dude, you got to get me financed. I love this house. It's my dream house. If I don't get it, I'm going to die. And so that's the biggest thing is like really just.
So what's a good ratio to be at?
Honestly, it's funny, but rural housing has a hard steadfast rule that 29% of your gross monthly income can be used for your housing expense. That's Utah housing. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they'll go all the way up to 45. That's really kind of being irresponsible because you look at it in the aspect of like, okay, you're self-employed, I'm self-employed. If things are bad for me one month, like let's say, for instance, my son, he had a situation where his medical bills were exponential for a couple of months. I just had to work harder to make more money to pay those.
Right.
If I'm a W-2 employee, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, you're stuck. You get the same check.
And so to help people understand, your debt to income, most people probably know this, but if you don't, if you make $5,000 a month, that's your income. If you have let's call it $2,500 a month in debt, your debt to income ratio is 50%. Right?
Exactly.
And you say the number at 50%, there's no way you'd qualify for that first loan you were talking about, right? Because
exactly.
They want to see 70% of your income available
on for housing expense.
Right.
And then overall debt, like your credit cards, student loans, car payments, everything like that, they want it no more than 41. Now, depending on the strength of the file, it'll push it up to 33 and 42.
So
overall.
the most, if I go into a bank to get a mortgage right now, standard mortgage across the country, use an average, I want to be up to what number? Ballpark.
Honestly, if you can stay below 38%, you're going to be pretty safe.
Meaning, if you make $10,000 a month, you should have no more than $3,800 a month in debt.
$3,800 a month towards your housing expense.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then $4,500 towards, your other debts. So everything.
Okay, gotcha. So do they ever want to see that number up to 100? Meaning your debt to income, like with your mortgage payment and all your other obligations, what is the max number that you can get to?
The max I've ever been able to push it to, and it has to do with strength of file and lack of a better term, so they have this automated underwriting system, and I explained it to my kids once, and the best way I can explain it is I am really, really, really good at video games. That is something, honestly, there was at one point, I was number one in the world in Assassin's Creed.
Wow.
And it's on my Instagram if you want to look.
Really?
It really is.
Another one of your fun facts.
Exactly.
You're freaking full of surprises.
So
you beat the final boss on the AW or the AUW or whatever it is.
Oh, heck yeah. You know
Really?
this. Oh, yeah.
Dude. So
with an AUS system, it's a computer. And so it's just like when we were kids, I don't know, when I was a kid, War Games with Matthew Broderick. Okay. And it's all about Joshua, beating the game. So that's the whole thing with an AUS system is you got to know and figure out what I got to do to milk it, make this thing like it. And so that's the whole thing is I've been able to push that envelope super hard.
Right.
And get stuff that approved through the AUS system because once it's approved in there, they have to take it. They have to.
So where should we try to get our listeners to? If they're going to go prepare to buy a home, let's get them to what percentage to be safe?
Overall, I would say including your house payment, 45%.
Total all in, meaning you've got half of your monthly income not allocated to debt.
Exactly.
Ballpark.
Yeah, and that's including your house payment
that you're trying to get.
Exactly.
So if your income is 10 grand and your house payment is going to be 2 grand, that's 20%. So don't go try to get a loan if you're above 30 or 40%.
So to clarify, like insurance payments and stuff like that, is that included in debt?
No. So the only things that are going to be included in your debt to income ratio,
loans and credit cards.
Exactly. Stuff that's reported on your credit report. Mm-hmm. The only thing that we look at that's not reported on your credit report would be alimony, child support, things like that. Everything else, we're only going off your credit report and your housing expense. And your housing expense is going to be broken down to your principal and interest, which is how much you've borrowed against your interest rate. And then your property tax, because that's a great thing about America, is we came here to own land.
Yeah.
And technically we really don't, because we're taxed on
Tax,
it.
even when you own it, right?
Exactly. So property tax and then homeowner's insurance. And a lot of people will get that confused with mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is what you have to carry if you're above 80% loan to value.
Right.
And it's insurance for the bank to make sure that if you default, they supposedly get their money back.
Yeah. Does it work? You give the air quote so I'm guessing it's not a real stable product.
Well, you think back to 2008, how that worked out.
All of a sudden, all the mortgage insurance companies are filing for bankruptcy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing is homeowner's insurance. That's your hazard insurance. That's the stuff that, like, if your house burns down, they're the ones who replace it. They're farmers, you know. This is farmer.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so there's capacity. You got any questions on capacity, Marcus? That makes sense?
So say, as a self-employed guy, all of the vehicles and stuff that I pay for on my business, does that affect my personal credit?
No. So that's a great thing. Even so, like, a lot of people will be freaked out to, like, co-sign with their kid because they're like, oh, this is going to jack up my credit. As long as you have 12 months worth of canceled checks showing that someone else is making that payment, we consider that what's called a contingent liability, which means that you are not paying it. So even though it's on your credit, I can omit it from your debt.
Got it.
So, like, somebody I know has a couple of helicopters and some other things. And, that's one thing, like, when we look at it, it's like, okay, all of these debts, you don't pay these. So we get 12 months worth of canceled checks, prove that the business is paying these or your kids or whomever. And now all of a sudden it doesn't affect your debt ratio.
So that's a good point. It's very important to make sure that you're not personally servicing business loans, business debt, because that'll hurt you.
Oh yeah. And like, unfortunately people will make a mistake. It's one of those things where you talked about the ACH and like forgetting. God bless her. I love her with all my heart. And she's probably going to be listening to this, but my sister-in-law, she will forget. And so like she's making the payment from the business every single month. And then all of a sudden she'll have forgotten to make the payment. So she'll like, oh no, and like hurry and make a payment.
Yeah.
And she'll make it out of her personal account. Well, that starts the clock over.
Yeah.
So now we got to go 12 months from that date.
Dude, that's brutal. That's brutal. That's one thing that you taught me when we first started doing it. I had a couple of ones that we didn't need to like, and it's just good. It's a good checkup on your like financial health anyways, to just go through and be like, okay, are we doing things right here? Because it never hurt you. It never hurts you until it does. Meaning, all of a sudden the IRS knocks on your door and they're like, hey, by the way, we're going to look into your taxes and you're going to get audited. It's like, well, shit, I didn't mean to do this, but now for the last 12 or 24, 36 months, I was accidentally paying this out of that. And then they're like, well, that's not a deduction. Now you owe this much more in taxes. So it hurts you there. It'll hurt you on the mortgage side of things. So that's a good point. And that's a lot of people who listen to this are self-employed. Man, it's like, you know how it is, dude. It's really easy to blur the lines, especially when your business is just you. When you get partners and you get, growing a bunch, then it's like you got to be a little bit cleaner. But dude, in the early days, I was like paying for trucks out of my personal account and then depositing in my business and then just like, no bueno. I gotta be careful with that.
Oh yeah.
So the third C, what is it, Matt?
Capital.
Capital.
So that's the biggest thing that most people have this huge misconception on is down payment. How much do I need to buy a house? And that's the thing is they have opened the door for multiple programs for people to put less money down and still get a great loan.
My first mortgage was with Mountain America, and it was a first-time home buyer loan, and it was zero money down. Or it was like $1,000 down or whatever it was. Like, because I did not have a lot of cash when we first got married, dude. Every ounce of cash I had was tied up in this little business that we were trying to build, and that was my biggest frustration. Dude, it was like, there were days where I honestly was like, I'm a failure of a husband. I'm a failure of a dad. I can't buy a home because I don't have the cash in the bank to do it. And so that program, man, it freaking saved me. And so like you're saying, there are programs like that all over the place.
Oh yeah. So there's grants that you can get in different areas, but so when we talk about loan level pricing adjustments and different things like that, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac came out with a Home Possible and a Home Ready product, and it has income limitations. So depending on where you live is your income limitation. Some areas have zero income limitations because they want people to buy there. But for the most part, they have a cap because they're not going to open it up for everybody to take advantage of these products, only the people that really need them. So you look at it and you say, okay, and it's not like a massive amount. Like it's not, a lot of people be like, oh, I make more than 30 grand. I can't qualify. No, it's like 85. So it's average median household income, and they don't make the whole entire house, just whoever is on that loan qualify.
Right.
So with like USDA, they'll do 100%, but it has to be in a rural area. So like a lot of people think, oh, they're going to make me live in the sticks in order to get 100% financing. Not the case. Tooele, Lehigh.
What about Highland?
No, unfortunately, that's not rural. But Eagle Mountain, Saratoga Springs.
Next door.
Right?
Yeah.
FHA stands for Federal Housing Association.
Uh-huh.
This is probably a whole nother can of worms, but real quick, what is your opinion? Should the government be so heavily involved in mortgages?
Probably not. I'll be honest. Even Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they're supposedly private, but
they're government.
But they're government,
Yeah.
And they're highly regulated and different things like that. And because of that, it's one of those things. It's government. God bless them. They think they know a lot more than they do, and until they get down in the trenches, they have really no idea.
Yep.
And for every regulation that comes out, the best example I can give you is just like opening an umbrella. If it's raining and you open an umbrella, that rain's going to go somewhere.
Right.
And so it starts pouring on the ground around you.
Right.
And so then the government opens another umbrella and another umbrella, which creates more problems. And it just all of a sudden you get more and more and more issues.
All right. I think that's probably a conversation for another day because I agree with you. I feel like when a private business has to keep the lights on, they adapt or they die. The government, when they have to keep the lights on, they just take more of your money and they just keep on bleeding. They don't stop the bleeding. They just put more money in it. You know what I mean? Just like it's frustrating to me. And so when there's programs like that I feel like could be run better, that's why I'm not even going to get into politics right now. I'm not going to do it. So
but back to what we were saying. So 3% down is what the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Home Ready, Home Possible is. They do not have any loan level pricing adjustments. So even if you have like a 680 credit score, they don't bang you on the rate.
Yeah.
They maximize, hey, listen, this is the best you can do. So
3% down is that a new number? That's a kind of a standard?
Yeah.
Because it used to be 10 or 15.
So a lot of times people, that's a misconception is a lot of people think, oh, I got to come up with 20% or I got to have 10%.
Which is terrifying.
Exactly. Because you think about it, like, who's got 20 grand laying around?
Yep.
That's where I thought I was going to have to do like 25 or 30 for this. And then we talked before and you made it a lot more comfortable. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, Dave's got 20 grand laying around. He just got, credit card
What about
payments
those saving
back.
accounts, man?
Exactly, dude.
When are we going to roll out the Wendover and triple that, man?
Dude, it actually, I'm still trying to get my money out of the account. This little tiny credit union is like, no, don't go. So they're making it so freaking hard. They're basically, they honestly told me, come in, pick up a form from the teller, go back to your office, fill it out, and fax it back to us. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I said, just give me my damn money. Transfer it to my account. They're like, no, we can't do it over the phone. You got to come do this. I'm like, you sons of bitches.
Tell you what, 10% and I'll go do all the work.
Yeah, you go do the dirty work for me.
I'll bring a Polynesian with me too.
I forgot all my secret passwords that they wanted me to give over the phone. So I'm just like rambling. Yeah, anyways, capital 3% down. That's a good number to target.
Yeah, 3%. That's going to open the door for you. There's programs that'll allow you to come in with 0 down.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you that they're not the best.
Right.
Unless it's a VA loan, a USDA loan, the 100% product kind of sucks.
What sucks about it? It's more money. It's going to cost you more.
It's going to cost you a lot more. So here in Utah, we have a loan, and I don't mean to sound down on it. It's called a Utah housing loan.
That's the one I think I got for Mount America.
Yeah, and so you walk in with nothing down, but as soon as that door slams behind you, you owe 105% on your house.
Jeez.
And most people don't think that through. Now, in a market like today where you have appreciation, you're okay.
Yeah.
But if you're in a flat market, it's going to take you a long time. Plus, your interest rate's going to be higher on that. You got a second mortgage that is like bad luggage. It'll never go away.
Right.
Because they amortize it over 30 years. And so you have like a $10,000 mortgage that's amortized.
Does it automatically come with a second?
Yeah, that's how they get you to 100. So they do 96.5 on a first. So it's like a standard FHA loan, except the interest rate is anywhere from 0.5 to 5/8 higher in rate. And then from there, they tag a second on there to pick up that difference. So with an FHA loan, they put mortgage insurance, they call it upfront mortgage insurance. It's 1 3/4 that they add on top of. And then they add your closing costs and they add all this stuff and you feel great. You walk in, yay.
Yeah.
And then the door closes and you're like, oh my gosh, I owe 105% and I can't refinance and I can't sell this. And
You're stuck.
I'm in a bad way.
You are literally stuck. You can't life happens. Let's face it. You may get a job offer. You may need to move. You may need to do whatever. You can't.
And you can't rent it.
You get upside down. Like when you get upside down in a car loan, you can actually get upside down in a mortgage loan, which is a whole lot more daunting because you're talking a lot more figures.
Oh yeah. You
can't rent it either?
No, because as soon as you move out, they'll call the note due and payable.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Stay away from that loan, listeners. Whatever you do, just go hustle, save that 3%. It's not that much money. On 100 grand, you're $3,000, dude.
Yeah.
200, $6,000. That's not that much money.
And here's the great thing about that. And this is, again, for your listeners, this is the way you can beat it. You can beat the system. So the 3% down, I don't care where it comes from. It can be a gift.
Yeah.
So you can't be a loan, but it can be a gift.
Right.
Now, how your gifter gives it to you,
right?
If they go get a loan, I don't care.
Yeah.
Just as long as you're not getting a loan for that 3% down.
As long as you're not bringing on new debt. to pay that.
Exactly. So this is where like I step back, and this is kind of like, I'm going to lay it down on the table and you pick up whatever you want.
Yeah,
So
yep.
At the end of the day, it's like, okay, mom, dad, I need 3%. Well, I don't have 12 grand sitting in the bank.
Right.
Okay, here's what I need you to do, mom and dad. I need you to go get a loan for $12,000 and give it to me.
Yeah.
I did that for my sister. I sold my one of my work vans, or I got a loan. I owned it, took a loan on it, gifted her the money, and then she paid the monthly on it until they were able to pay it off.
And I'll tell you
there
what.
you go. And that's the gray area. I don't.
But
just
you know
as long
what?
as that
And it is a gray area, and I you definitely have to protect because there's federal regulations. But I feel like that is not unethical, simply because the only reason the bank or the credit union doesn't want you to take more debt to be able to pay that down payment is because they need to be in a position where they can collect their money from you first. Now, if you're borrowing money from your sister, she can't collect in a priority over the bank. Meaning if the bank comes to take your property, your sister doesn't have a lien on the house.
Right.
And so as long as you're not basically moving the bank's priority on getting paid back or splitting it, I feel like it's ethical. So Matt, as a mortgage broker, has to obviously make sure these lines are not blurred. I, as just a regular Joe, will tell you my opinion of it is do it, because the system is broken in a lot of ways. And so we have to find workarounds. We have to find ways to be able to get creative. And that's the only way that I was ever able to build my business, buy a home, do anything, was when I found these ways to be like, okay, I get it. There's the rules, but here's my rules. And now we're on the same page and everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I hope everybody understands what we're getting at there. It's valuable.
Absolutely. And that's the whole thing is, again, it goes back to, not to sound arrogant, but that's why I'm good at what I do is it goes back to being an artist, is creativity.
Yeah.
Finding the workaround, looking at it.
And you've done that very well in a lot of different cases. Capital, 3% down. Is there anything else on the capital?
No, just, sometimes depending on what type of loan you get, you want to have reserves, different things like that. If you got a 401k, IRA, different things like, those are always good to have.
The fourth C, the anticipation's killing me.
Collateral. You got to find yourself a house.
Yeah.
And it can't be a pile of crap. Okay. It
No,
can.
they won't even loan on, if it's to a point where it won't pass certain inspection. Like if it's too crappy, the bank will be like, no, we're not loaning on that, right?
Exactly. And so like deferred maintenance, different things of that nature, FHA, they make you do stupid things like scrape paint, make sure it's safe,
Meth test, mold test, all that stuff.
Well, no, they actually, believe it or not, they don't do meth or mold tests. That's separate.
Jeez.
If you want to do that, you have to pay for it
And
separately.
those are two of the biggest ass kickers on a lot of people when they really get in trouble in a house that's got problems.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh man, I got to mitigate not just this little issue right here in the living room, but now I got to tear walls out all over the place 'cause I got black mold in here.
Oh yeah. And that's really, when it comes to collateral, that's the one thing I'm going to tell you that a lot of people will breeze over the top of, is having proper representation.
Right.
They think they're going to get a better deal if they go find a for sale by owner. But at the end of the day, I have a client right now. He bought a house a year ago, and 90 days after he bought it, the whole back half of it started collapsing. And it was an addition that the previous homeowners had purchased it from, had put an addition on the back of this house without any sort of permits or anything like that. And they knew it was a problem, but they didn't disclose it because it was a for sale by owner.
Right.
There was no seller disclosures. And so now it's escalated to court and attorneys and all kind of stuff. And here I got this nice kid who's in his 20s, graduated college. He's a nurse, first real house with his wife, and they can't use the back half of it because they're terrified that it's going to fall
and
down.
They're stuck in the house too because obviously they can't sell it because they probably owe more than it's worth until it's repaired.
Exactly. And the price tag to fix it was 120 grand.
How much was the house?
280.
Oh, geez, dude, that's brutal. A third of the price of the home is just got to be thrown on top of it now.
And you can't
So what do you get out there?
homeowners insurance.
How do you get that representation? A good realtor.
Good realtor. And that's the whole thing, is a lot of times people think, oh yeah, my mom's brother, he's got his realtor license, he'll cut me a deal.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. You got to find people. This is this is my career.
Right.
This is not my job. And so there's a big difference the way people look at things when they look at things as their career. They seek to be the best. They seek to improve.
I don't know if it's as bad as it used to be, but I remember this is 4, 5, 6, 8 years ago. Literally on a daily basis, I would hear one of two things from people that were going to get a new job. It was a girl telling me she was going to hair school, or somebody telling me that they would
be a realtor,
or telling me that he was going to get a real estate license. It was like that was the thing. It was just popping up left and right. Like, oh, economy's booming. You know, people are selling houses. I want to go be a realtor. It doesn't work like that. Like, I guess it does because you can technically go buy and sell property. But if you found somebody who's just getting their license, just getting started, maybe just keep shopping. Like, don't land on the first person or the first family member who's a realtor unless you know that they know what they're doing and they're doing this day in and day out.
Unless they give you a business card and they've got a really good like profile picture that they've got on their card.
And they look real
then you
smiley
know they're legit.
Yeah.
Have you seen my card?
I have not, but
Oh man, hang on.
I'm interested now.
So am I.
Oh no. All right, here you go.
What do we got? Holy.
Oh, these got the stainless steel
Dude.
cards, dude.
This thing must weigh 5 pounds.
Oh man,
that
when
is
they
sick.
shipped them,
Wow.
So Matt just passed us his business
For
cards.
the
There.
listeners that can't hear,
That's stainless steel, I think.
That's metal.
That is sick. That's if somebody hands me a metal business card, I'm gonna be like, okay, hold on. Like you might know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like the mom who just went out and got her real estate
get to keep it?
license.
yeah, oh yeah.
My man.
After soccer practice, probably doesn't have metal business cards yet. So even though it's kind of a flashy statement, it does say something about how serious you take your career, like you're saying.
Oh yeah. In fact, so I sit on an advisory board for the largest wholesaler in America, and they flew me out to Detroit, and they're stationed in Pontiac, Michigan. I love Michigan, but
Yeah.
anyway, they had the CEO of Freddie Mac there. So like you're talking $1 billion company, and I'm sitting at a table with this guy, and it's probably one of my favorite things I've ever done. Is this guy was sitting at this table, and he never like wrote a single thing down. He just engaged everybody and listened. And everybody was like, I tell people this, and they're like, oh, wow, he's got that sharp of memory. I'm like, oh, hell no. He had 3 dudes sitting around him just jotting notes down as fast as they could go. But anyway, I handed him one of those cards, and he was like, wait a minute. He's all, these are awesome. And I was like, yeah,
Dude,
it was
that's-
totally worth it.
You impress somebody in that position, like that's legit. When you impress somebody like that, that's a good feeling. And it makes this, I mean, these can't be cheap.
They actually work out to be about $1 a piece.
That's, I mean, a regular business card's 5 cents a piece, 10 cents a piece. So it's an investment, but you're proud of what you do.
Oh, yeah.
It shows a lot of pride. And that's a whole nother story, topic for another day, is being proud of what you do. And like something so small and seemingly meaningless goes a long ways. You hand this card to somebody. If another mortgage broker, if I had just talked to him 10 minutes before and he gave me a paper card and you gave me this, guess what I'm going to call first?
Oh, yeah.
This.
Bless you.
So yeah, that's the collateral side of it. My brother-in-law, Roger, I think he listens to this, not just because he's my brother-in-law, but because he's the best damn realtor I know. Like, the dude loves real estate. He genuinely loves what he does. And so if you find somebody who's passionate about what they do, just like you with your, steel business cards, Roger's the same way about buying and selling homes. And I know that I've bought multiple properties through him now, and it's such a great experience, dude. Like, for me, I'm a busy person. I'm a very, very busy person, and I don't have time to deal with a lot of the stuff that comes with buying and selling a home or getting a mortgage. And so guys like you, guys like Roger, make my life like so great and so easy because you do the heavy lifting. So that's your job though too, right? Like, you get paid to do that. And so you provide a better service, I think, than most people in your industry do, but find somebody who's willing to do that for you.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
How do you find the right guy?
It's one of those things. It's okay to interview them, so to speak. Like, sit down, talk to them, get to know them, see if they're going to be taking care of you. I'll be honest, like, there's a difference between buying a Hyundai. I call it a Hyundai.
Hyundai.
Yeah. And like an Audi. How do they treat you when you walk in the door? Now, a Hyundai, you're going to get at the very cheapest, 100,000 mileage, warranty bumper to bumper. But when you go in, how do they greet you? What do they give you? What do they do? Now, they are going to be less expensive than if you go buy an Audi. But when you go into an Audi dealership, they're going to hand you an apple and a banana. They're going to make you coffee. They're going to make you feel comfortable. They're going to hand you a paper. They're going to address you as Mr. Arnold. All these things. And that's honestly that's what you have to look for. And the thing that's sad is a lot of people will just look at the name. They'll just trust a name instantaneously.
Remax or
Century
whatever.
21.
Well, guess what? Anybody can go get a license under Remax or under these brands.
Exactly. And I don't want to throw any financial institutions under the bus, but like, I'll just call them W Fargo. Well, that's a little too obvious. So we're going to call them Wells F.
Wells F, yes.
There we go.
Wells F.
I have a client right now. He went in and they quoted him the Earth, Sun, Moon, and Stars. And I told him, I was like, look, my man, there's no way that this is going to happen. And he's like, well, I got to trust him. And I was like, okay, man, well, if you have any problems, give me a call. So sure enough, 30 days later, he calls me up. He's like, bro, I think I'm going to come with you. And I was like, oh, did it not work out? He's like, I think your words were, she was smoking rock. And I was like, ooh, I probably shouldn't have said that. But yeah, my man. Yeah. So anyway.
Dude, Wells Fargo's effed up so bad recently that their new slogan? You haven't seen their new slogan? On their billboards and on their bank website, established 1852, reestablished 2018, with a recommitment to you. That is their new, I remember seeing this. That's funny you brought that up. I remember seeing this a couple months ago. That's their actual company slogan now. They effed up so bad that I think it even says the small print. From day one, we always came through for our customers. Today, we're renewing our commitment to you and working to earn back your trust. You're talking a multi-billion-dollar worldwide corporation who is now apologizing to their customers.
That doesn't make me feel comfortable.
I know my money's in there, right? Like, I've never used Wells Fargo, but sorry to those of you who listen Wells or use Wells, move your money. But that's a big mistake. You got to F up pretty bad. So like you said, even though they have this massive worldwide reaching brand, they can still make mistakes.
And that's the thing is a lot of people, they don't realize until they've been down that road.
Right.
And it's just like like you've had multiple mortgages before we met.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, it's a lot easier. There's people out there that actually take care of their clients and like know what they're doing.
I don't refer people to you as much as I used to because I'm afraid that you're so damn busy. Are you always taking on new people here in Utah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you only licensed in Utah?
California and Utah.
So I'm going to strongly suggest, this is not like, Matt's not paying to get this plug or anything, but I deal with a lot of different people and I deal with a lot of different people that provide services. I will hands down tell you right now, there's no better service provider. There's nobody who can get the job done for you as far as getting a mortgage done better than Matt can. So if you need a loan, I'm just going to give you this plug because I fully trust and believe that you can take care of it. Everybody I've ever sent to you is like, dude, thank you. Like my friendships are better with people because I introduced them to you. That's a big deal, dude. Like when I give my reputation, I don't refer anybody to anyone anymore. In fact, I had a guy hit me up the other day and was like, dude, I got to get my truck built. Somebody needs to build it. We got like a 4-year waiting list here. I can't build people's vehicles. He's like, where should I send it? And I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I do not recommend shops anymore because I don't know one good shop in the Valley. There's a lot of great shops, but there's so much.
Nothing you want to stamp your name on.
No, I don't want to because there's so much stuff that's out of control in that business that I just won't do it. And I won't do that with a lot of things. When it comes to mortgages, if you need a mortgage, and it's like, especially if somebody's told you no, call Matt and get a second opinion because you're the best there is, like flat out. So can I give you information here?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's Matt Arnold, Christian Roberts Mortgage. Should I give him your office phone or your?
Yeah.
So the office phone right here is 801-255-0936. Call Matt. He's the coolest, the most rad dude you'll ever meet. And I was like, dude, if Matt can't get you qualified, then you legitimately cannot get qualified. But I've never sent you one person.
I'm hoping too. Once he gets me in my house, he'll spray paint my garage too. You know what I'm saying?
And this is what I love about Matt is if he can't get you qualified day one, he's going to say, dude, guess what? Here's the couple things we need to do. So you didn't get qualified. You couldn't buy a home the day you talked to him, but he's like, Marcus, we got to do this, this, and this. Now you have a plan, and a few months later, bam, you're getting the freaking loan, dude.
I've been paying on my trucks through my personal account, all my vehicles that I use for my business, and I never moved over to my business account. Matt told me over a year ago to move those over to my business account and be paying from my business account. And now I've done that.
Yeah. Again, guys, this is not a paid advertisement. This is not a paid plug. I don't do paid plugs on here. I would not be telling you this if I didn't personally give you this man my social security number and my bank account information, because he is as legit as they come. And like, dude, you're a wizard, like just flat out a wizard. So we're at an hour and a half right now, which the time flies. Don't know where the time went. I think it's valuable. I hope that the listeners have been taking notes. We hit the 4 C's. Are those the basics? Is there anything else? If Joe Blow is out there with his wife looking to go buy a house for the first time, or second or third, anything else they need to be prepared with? What kind of like weapons do they need to go to battle?
Honestly, those 4 are going to be your biggest basic thing, and then surround yourself with a team.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you have people that are looking out for your best interest, and like I said, I'm licensed here in Utah and California.
Right.
But before you go walking into a bank or the machine, the largest retail mortgage lender in America, Quicken Loans, everybody knows them. Everybody recognizes the name. They're great at a lot of things. Before you call anybody like that, look up a mortgage broker, because those guys, like at the end of the day, we have to be experts in everything.
You're held to a pretty high standard.
Oh, yeah. And I'll be honest, there was a time where I couldn't tell anybody that that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for 22 years. And so I know I don't look it.
I actually was surprised when I first heard that. I was like, oh, maybe he's been doing it for 5 years. And because I actually really thought this. I was like, dude, this guy has so much energy. There's no way he's been doing this for more than a few years. Like at some point people get burnt out. Dude, you're 22 years deep and you're still like kicking ass and passionate about it. So that says something about how good you are at it though.
Well, thank you. And it's a rarity where people take real pride in their work. And that's one thing that I can say about everybody that I work with and all the people that are employed at Christian Roberts. We take pride in our work. We want to make sure that if we tell you we get it done, it's going to get done.
Right. And that's a beauty of, you're not a bullshitter when it comes to like, if somebody calls you, you're not going to be like, yeah, I can get you approved. And then just like string them along. You won't do that. Like Matt is straight enough shooter that, and there's so many listeners here that aren't in Utah or California. So call that broker in your area and just, you get a pretty good, judge just by talking to somebody. And is it okay to call multiple and kind of interview them a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's it. Like there was a gal that came in and she put it best. She met with me and a couple of different people. And after she did, she came back. She's like, you know what? When I'm with you, I don't feel stressed.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Her name's Laura. I was like, that's what you pay me for. You pay me to stress. You guys go pick out some curtains and bath mats. That's your job. You go have fun. I'm the stress guy.
And you do it well. I don't know how. Yeah. Do you know how many? I probably can't. I'm not even gonna ask the number just because I know there's so many regulations that are dumb. But you have a lot of business. You have a lot of customers and a lot of people that probably repeat business, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is it safe to kind of judge a book by its cover if somebody is in Colorado and they're looking for a mortgage broker, to kind of just based off of how long they've been in business too?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those things. I have a number. Believe this or not, like I got a number. They gave me a number, and my number is 69158.
Really?
And that is my number.
That's a nationwide number.
Yep. And everywhere I go, anything I touch, that number is associated with it.
So does that mean you're 69,158
that
in line from when they issued those numbers?
Exactly.
So if somebody has a number, what's the numbers at now? Do you know?
They're over $1 million.
What?
Whoa.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, so that's somebody's license
pretty
number.
good. So someone's number is 878,123.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not a great number.
Yeah, it's a number. Like that's everybody's got to start somewhere.
Right.
It just
And that's the thing. We don't want new
Right,
mortgage
hating.
brokers to listen to this and be
Right.
like, dude, come on, you're killing me. That's not the purpose, because you could have started business yesterday, and if you had the passion that you do today, you'd be my guy still. I don't care how long you've been in business, but it is a good indication to help kind of like, it'll help you avoid the fly by night guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of guys that open up shop and close it the next week because they're looking for quick, easy money. So this is to help you avoid those guys, not to help you avoid the legit people.
absolutely. And just I know we're long on time.
You know what? Our listeners are used to it though. Our podcasts are long because they're full of value.
Right on, man. Because I got to tell you, I got to give you a shout about how Christian Roberts came to be, because it's a pretty dope story.
And you're one of the owners, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my name is Matthew Christian Arnold, and my business partner, his name is Stephen Robert Saxton.
Huh.
And we opened Christian Roberts Mortgage when I was the ripe old age of 24. I had just turned 24. It was March 15th, and my birthday's in February. So I just turned 24 in 2000. And we decided that we had to come up with a name because I looked like I was 15. Like, people would ask me all the time, dude, shouldn't you be in school? I'd be like, shut up. So we came up with the name Christian Roberts.
Because it feels strong and elite.
Oh, yeah. And we pawned it off. Oh, yeah, Christian Roberts, he's from the Midwest. He's a real estate investor. Very wealthy. Oh, yeah. And then when people would get upset, I'd be like, dude, all right, well, let me call Christian on his sat phone. Because back then we all had cell phones.
That is one of the smartest things I've heard in a long time.
Oh, he's awesome, dude. I'd throw people on hold and like wander around my office for like 10 minutes and pick it back up and be like, man, you have no idea how pissed he is. He's in the Gulf of Mexico right now fishing
on his $40 million yacht.
Do you know how angry this man was with me? But you know what he's going to do for you? He's going to pay for your appraisal. And they'd be like, oh, Matt, oh, thank you. I'm like, dude, bro, you owe me.
Dude, you used your alter ego to build this really elite feeling brand. There's a lot of value in that, dude. So if you're listening to this and you're starting a business, maybe don't just call it Marcus's Tacos.
Yeah, well, let's talk about DJ Marcus Wing. Hey, but for the past 10 years.
But dude, starting, you were nobody. You were a joke, and now that name's got value. But you paid your dues for 10 years. The problem
is they all want DJ Marcus Wing.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
It's true. I think you can have two different brands, though. Like, if we broke down your brand, DJ Marcus Wing, that's who you are. That's you. But you have an event service. I'm Heavy D, but I'm Diesel Brothers. I'm Sparks Motors.
Right.
That's the organization behind me. I'm just the face of it. It's okay to be the face of your organization, not have to be the brand.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I'm working on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it takes some time. Like, there's customer confusion anytime there's more than one brand. So you got to be careful with that. It's a total different conversation for another podcast, but it's valuable stuff. But checklist items, Matt, for our listeners, obviously we leave everybody with like just action items. I feel like we gave you some throughout during talking about the credit and stuff like that, but I want to give you, these are going to be fairly generic. I don't want to say generic, maybe just general information, because everybody's at a different point in their life right now, whether you're going to buy a new home or you're happy in the one you have, but you may need to buy a new one in 10 years. The basics that you need to be prepared with at all times. That's kind of the way I view it. I view my credit as like a weapon, and I want to make sure my weapon's always cleaned, always loaded, always ready to go if I do need it. And it's saved me a lot. Like, in my business, there's been times where I would have gone out of business. I would have had to close the freaking business, turn the lights off, send everybody home because there was no money, when I was able to actually instead take my credit, use it, bam, keep the lights on and keep going. And it's valuable. So especially for business owners, this is no joke. So listen up. In order to keep that weapon, ready and, able to do battle, these are the things that you need to do. My personal opinion is start flexing your credit muscles. Start just like, maybe you can't flex them yet, start stretching them. And by stretching them, go get a gas card. Go get a freaking $50 PayPal prepaid credit card.
Be smart.
Just, yes, but you have to, like, it's never too late to start over. So I know a lot of people are probably sitting here like, well, I got a 400, so what do I do? Well, you just start. Because if you don't start, you don't do anything.
That's where the 15% on your Kawasaki.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you got to bite that bullet for a couple.
As long as you're legitimately, seriously, like, ready to pay that. Mm-hmm. If you're going to take advantage of the system, screw you. Like, you're the reason why we have high rates in the first place. But definitely, like, if you've screwed up in the past, yes, go pay your dues. Go pay your 15%. Go pay your higher interest rates. Go get a cosigner. Go swallow your pride. Go ask somebody to sign on loan with you. But debt is not a bad thing. It's really not. It is such a valuable thing, actually, if you learn how to use it and you don't overextend yourself. So in order to figure out, I think a lot of people hear that and they're like, okay, well, what does that mean? Here's what it means. Do not buy more than roughly what half your income can pay for. If you make $5,000 a month, don't go sign up for more than $2,500 a month in debt.
Yep.
That includes all your debt. And what that allows you to do is not have to worry about money, because you'll be able to take some of your income, go put it in the freaking bank. Just put even a little bit. And then you'll be able to like just live and not be stressed about phone bill or bank account balance or all this bullshit. So the best way to start, though, is by flexing those muscles. So is there a credit app that you use, like a bureau that you have people go check on?
No, I just, as far as like credit's concerned, it's just
go to freecreditreport.com or any of these. That'll at least get you started. It may not be the right one. I use Equifax. Equifax is the one that I really like because it's less gimmicky, I guess, to me. It's more like serious. So when I go in there, it notifies me every single month if there's an inquiry on my credit. It notifies me if I've got it kind of gives me like reports without me asking for them. It's like, hey, your account balance percentage went down this month. I'm like, great. Sometimes I'll get an email that says your account balance increased. Anytime I get those emails, I go in and log in and be like, okay, that's because I put something on my credit card. The account balance was higher that month. Start paying attention to this stuff. It's really, really important, because if you don't, then the day's going to come where you're going to get married and your beautiful wife's going to be like, we need a house. You're going to go talk to a guy like Matt, and Matt's going to be like, okay, well, you're going to have to, be responsible now for 6 to 12 months before we can get you a house. Screw that. Just be ready, right? Come with a better file and you can get your home right now, or whatever like that new car is, or whatever you want. So for me, that's, let's call it, flex those credit muscles. That's number one. Matt, is there anything you want to add to the list as far as like just general readiness?
not really. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I can tell you. And with credit, like you said, the best way to flex, every 6 months, ask them to increase your limit.
Right.
You don't have to use it.
Right.
Just increase it, because it just shows your capacity.
Right. Yeah. Get those higher limits with lower balances.
Exactly.
Do not park money on your credit cards. It's the worst thing you can do. Like, I don't care. Like, don't consolidate it all into one card, like you were saying. So make sure you revolve it, pay it off. And like you're saying, Marcus, where you can pay for cash, pay cash for stuff, go get a credit card, give it to your wife, and have her, if she was going to pay for groceries with cash, have her do it with the card. And then take that cash and go pay it at the bank and pay the card down.
Got it.
You can pay your utilities with credit cards.
Yeah.
And just pay them off.
Just use them.
Yeah.
It just shows the freaking credit system that you're responsible. So I think we gave enough items throughout this podcast to help people understand. But if you genuinely do want to know more, and you live in Utah or California and you want to be able to get help with this, Matt Arnold is your guy. His website is www.crmtg.biz. So that's, I can't,
You ready for this? Here we go. You ready? I know you'll like this.
hear it.
It's Charlie, Romeo, Martha, Tango, Golf, Bravo, Igloo, Zulu.
I like that.
The voice, man.
Yeah. Got the phonetics, everything down. That's dialed.
Whenever I need something for my
crmtg.biz.
business, man, I'm going to have you record it for me with the voice.
Oh, you should hear my partner, man. He sounds like Barry White.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's the Roberts and the Christian. All right. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it, dude. I think I'd probably do a follow-up podcast with you to talk about some of the other stuff that you do, some of the really cool stuff. We need to find somewhere to put your art. Dude, do you have a website? You don't have a website for your painting.
I don't know. Just my Instagram.
Can I challenge you to do that?
One of my favorite is on display at Legends Boxing in Lehigh, Utah. Me and Matt used to box together, and we had a mutual friend who was the one who got me into boxing, and he boxed with us, and he passed away, and Matt did a tribute piece there. And it's pretty cool to walk in the gym every day and see that piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's one thing I forgot is, you're right, your Instagram, dude. That's where a lot of your art is like, you put it as soon as you paint it. So go to Instagram, and it's at Billy Luber, just BILLYLUBER. And it's funny because that was just your alter ego when you were a kid. Like, it was just like an alias you used, right?
Oh yeah. Well, there's kind of a story behind that, but we can say that for another day. But it was a trip to Vegas.
That's for Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah, I'll leave that at that. But that was the picture when we figured out that we knew Marcus. When you were going through that, my book.
picture, Kate.
Oh, that's right.
And you're like, wait, I know this guy.
Yeah, that's my dude. I'm going to challenge you though to do just go buy a domain, whatever it is. Go buy Billy Luber. I don't know if I put BillyLuber.com. That one might not
Might already be taken.
You know what? You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I am the only Billy Luber.
Yeah.
Dude, go find somewhere to park your art other than just social media, because to me, I think it'd be so rad to go to a website and like not even any explanations or descriptions. I just want to scroll through your paintings for days. Like that'd be cool for me, and I think it'd be cool for people to see. So, because it is not just like, don't picture just graffiti block letters like this. Like, come to our store. If you're in Utah, come check out our store. There's a Mount Rushmore on the wall of our store, and the presidents are our heads. It's just the most legit stuff I've
Utah
ever seen.
arch.
Yeah,
The purple background, man. That's my favorite.
yeah, like the it's like some soul. What was it that you painted? The back, like the. It's like the Milky Way on the wall behind the arch. It's unreal. Your attention to detail is phenomenal. So, guys, thank you for listening.
Hold on.
Wait, we're backing
I'm
up.
springing a surprise on you.
I can't wait for this.
I jumped on Instagram and I said, "Hey, man, if you could ask us one question."
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. So I've got a number here, and he's gonna ask us a question. Hopefully,
Dude,
you
awesome.
okay with that?
Hell yeah, I think it's a great idea.
So
Good
we're
call.
gonna Bluetooth them in here.
Right as I was wrapping it up, you hit us with.
I just threw it right in there, man. I don't even know his name. You take the lead on this, okay?
got it.
He better answer his damn phone too. I told him he better be available.
Oh, man.
Hello, Jose.
Who's this?
It's Jose.
Jose, how you doing, man? This is Heavy D.
Hey, Heavy D, what's up?
Not much, man. Just sitting here recording an episode of our podcast with Mr. Marcus Wing and my friend Billy Luber. So we got your number because Marcus put out a little thing there saying that anybody who wanted to call in and ask us some questions, that's what we're doing right now. So I'd love to hear from you and see what's up.
Well, I'm kind of honored. I think that you guys would actually call me, but
It's our pleasure, man. So what do you? Where do you live?
so I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Okay, and what do you do?
I work for a company called Halliburton,
Nice.
which I'm sure everyone knows.
Yeah, we know.
And
You work in the
I'm a
oil
diesel
fields.
technician.
Nice.
And so I've been basically working my ass off getting to where I want to be in life, starting from nothing.
How old are you?
Got myself through school. I'm 30 now.
Okay.
So got myself through school. I mean, soy Mexicano. My family came
Paisa.
from Mexico.
La Raza.
And, oh, yeah. So, my family, doesn't really have the support or the knowledge or the experience of, going to school, doing all that. So,
Were you
for
born
me,
here,
it's
or did you come over when you were a kid?
I was born in Denver.
Okay, so you're second generation, right? First
well,
generation.
First generation here.
Yeah. Okay, so
Colorado.
your parents were from there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, both my parents came from Mexico, and, I mean, they had it hard, and I basically took the ball from where they left off, and, oldest out of all my siblings, I had to, kind of show them, we got to go to school, we got to, move forward and do something with our lives. And
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people don't realize when it comes to Mexican culture and Mexicans immigrating here, the parents usually make the sacrifice to come over here, and they do the hard part, and it's their kids who usually benefit and are able to start, like you said, pick up the ball and start living the American dream. So even though your parents may not have had that opportunity to really, make it, they came over knowing that you were going to have that opportunity.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I had to, figure out what I had to do to get into school. And, I was fortunate to, be able to, figure out the financials and get me in there. And, I've worked for companies like Caterpillar and Cummins, and, I've made my way and, got to where I'm at now. And, now I'm like I guess you kind of call me like a master diesel tech. I mean, I can rebuild anything out here.
That's awesome.
And, now I'm, I got recognized by Halliburton. One of my buddies called me, and I've been over here 6 months, and, now I'm finally getting to the big leagues, I guess you can say,
Yeah, you created some serious value.
Career, yeah, like as far as my career goes, like I'm where I want to be, and like the future, I mean, it could only grow from here, and,
So what's
like my
what's
parents
next?
say,
And what would it be that as far as, you know, what are you hung up on? What are your big decisions that you're looking at? What kind of things are like you up against right now?
Right now, well, the biggest thing is that, you know, because I had to figure out my own way to get, you know, forward in life, you know, I had to take, you know, huge financial debt, you know, getting tools, because I literally started with a little fucking, like a little 2-drawer toolbox, you know, that you can carry around.
Right.
I started from there, you know, and I've had to like purchase all my tools. So, I mean, I've got, you know, obviously all the debt that comes with being a mechanic, which I'm sure a bunch of wrench hands would know, you know, you got to buy tools.
What kind of tool guy are you? You Snap-on, Matco, Cornwell?
I got them all.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, I've got everything, and you know, it's been a sacrifice, but you know, it's kind of a sacrifice I had to take to get to where I'm at.
Yeah.
So, you know, that and the school debt, you know, that's what's holding me back now. You know, that's.
And how does it hold you back? Help me understand that.
Financially, mostly financially.
Are you talking about like the majority of your paychecks when they come in, they go straight to paying off those loans?
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know, it's kind of what brought me to like the question that I had asked is that, you know, like, sorry, it's kind of emotional because
you're good, bro.
That hard, stressful, dude. Like
you paid your dues.
Like you paid your dues, and sometimes you feel like you're not going far enough. Right. Like for me, it feels like it's a big anchor, right? But so today I kind of had a moment, and it was actually ironically right before I happened to see, you know, the story on Instagram, is that like I had a moment where I just sat there and I'm, you know, having my lunch, and it's like, dude, like you've come so far, and it's like, so like, I don't know, like I'm sure there's a lot of people in my situation or similar situations to where it's like you're working so hard to get to where you want to be, and how many people actually stop and, you know, look at where they're at, how far they've come, and like realize, like, you know, pat yourself on the back, because a lot of people probably, you know, I wouldn't say they wouldn't last, but it's like not the average person would push to get as far as they need to get to whatever their goals are in life, you know?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, take a look at some of the kids you grew up with, right? Kids from your childhood, kids from your high school.
Dude, I'm the only one.
Yeah, you've seen the guys that don't pay their dues and where are they at? Right.
So it's like I compare myself to, you know, like you said, people that I've grown up with, people that have been around, old friends, and it's like you look back and it's like, you know, I could have just, you know, fell off at any moment. And, you know, it's been 5 years since I made the decision that I want to be a diesel technician. And it's like, I mean, I went all cards in, and, you know, here I am now working for a really good company and working my way up. And, you know, I've been thinking of, you know, doing my own thing on the side, and I've attempted it and failed. But, you know, that's kind of what brought me here to Halliburton, is that, you know, I'm now wrenching for a good company, making, you know, solid paycheck, covering the bills, doing what I got to do. But I'm still, you know, I'm still on my feet. I'm not defeated. I'm still trying to push forward and do what I got to do to, you know, make whatever my side thing is going to be, or like, you know, trying to build, you know, my thing was building a business, and, you know, it's a lot harder than what people think. It's a lot of hard work.
Oh yeah. Well, let me tell you this, Jose. It's Jose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's where you're at, dude. You are in, actually, believe it or not, and I'm proud that you were able to kind of take a step back and pat yourself on the back, because you should, because you've, like I said, paid your dues. You've got to a point in your life that a lot of people aren't able to get to. They don't have the perseverance. They don't have the patience. They don't have the work ethic. That's one thing I love about, you know, Mexican culture and my Mexican family is, dude, you just learn how to work. Like it's in your blood. You just work. You flat out, you love it, you do it, and you do it well. And so as part of that, man, I want to congratulate you. And I also want you to understand that you're in a really, really good spot, even though sometimes you may look at the bank account balance versus the debt versus what you get paid per hour. And you're like, how am I ever going to like make sense of all this?
Right.
You are in a position right now where you actually have the best of both worlds. You have the job security where every day you wake up, you go to work, you get to make that money, you get to go home, and you can do that every single day. So you know for a fact that you're always going to have some income. And so outside of that, you don't work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So there is some extra time for you to be able to do other things. And that's where you got to really start to learn how to like utilize that time wisely. If you, let's say, I know Halliburton and, you know, working on anybody in the oil business has crazy schedules and they've got, you know, 4 on, 4 off, whatever that, but let's just use a standard schedule. Say you work Monday through Friday and you have Saturday, Sunday off. Saturday and Sunday should be those days where you are going out to, you know, local businesses or local fleets or other, you know, companies and equipment companies and saying, I know that you guys are probably behind on repairs. You're probably behind on equipment. Let me do this for you. Let me do that for you. And start picking off these kind of low-hanging fruit projects. I know for a fact that in my business, I'm constantly looking for guys like you that can come in and like pick up the slack. I don't necessarily need you as a full-time guy, but I need somebody to come in and be like, you know what, Saturday, Sunday, I've got this work. Help me pick up the slack, and I pay him well. And so you are that guy. You have the ability to do that, but you can't do that unless you go knock on those doors and you go talk to those people. So in doing that, you're going to start building a name for yourself. And what I can tell you is don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't go rent a shop and hire employees and go get, you know, a bunch of like overhead, because that's when you'll start to hate what you do. I'm not saying you don't want to get there, because that's definitely obviously the goal. You want to build your business. And if you're an entrepreneur, then definitely you got to do those things, but they're not necessary right now. You have this wonderful world where you can work on somebody else's dime. And then when you've got some free time, rather than going to the club and going partying and doing what all these other younger kids are doing, you're going to go, you know, work at somebody else's shop on the weekend or the night, and you're going to hustle and you're going to bust your ass to be able to get this, you know, a little bit extra money. And you'll find that once you do 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 of these projects, all of a sudden, if you're taking all that money and throwing it at that student debt and throwing it at your tool bills, dude, 6 months, a year from now, you're going to be paid off. And it just like you have a talent that like, it's a full blown natural talent that people absolutely have to have. And it's not something that I can go to a 3-week trade school and get, because what you have is real world experience. So there's value in that. You got to make sure you're valuing that, and just go hustling, man. Like don't overthink it. Go get one project at a time. Go find just one. If you can pick up one extra project a week or a month or whatever your capacity is, then it starts to grow organically, rather than going out and taking on this huge, you know, massive load of trying to own your own business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So, man, I'm telling you, that is, I tell people this all the time. In the early days, I wish I would have been in your shoes. I wish I had the job security to just know that I was going to have a paycheck and that I could do my hustle on the side with no risk. Just make sure you minimize your risk. Don't go take on all these different things that you have to worry about when they're just not necessary. There's ways to make money and do work like this on other people's dimes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, actually.
I would do it, brother.
Yeah.
I would definitely just start by go knock on a door or make a phone call. I mean, I'm sure you probably know people in your close circle there, even sometimes in your own business, at your own place of work. You can talk to the boss and say, hey, let me do this after, you know, my own guys come to me all the time and say, is there any work you want me to do after hours? And I pay them significantly better after hours when they finish projects for me, because it's speeding the process along, dude. It's not about money. It's about time. How much time can you save me? Go save somebody some time and you'll be shocked at how quickly your bank account fills up.
Yeah.
So make it happen, dude.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate what you do. Sure. Obviously sometimes it's a very underappreciated trade, but it's without you guys, obviously the equipment doesn't go. So super valuable. Right. I appreciate it. I can definitely tell that you're a hustler, and the fact that you're proud of what you do, that says a lot. So I'd keep it up, man. We got to wrap it up because we're getting ready to wrap up the podcast here. But is there anything else you want to say?
No, actually. Thank you for the advice.
My pleasure, brother.
It's kind of a good boost of energy. I know you definitely can see where I'm coming from. So
I've been on both sides, man. I've been there. I've been the guy turning the wrenches, and I've been the guy paying the guys turning the wrenches. And I know exactly what you're going through. Just all I can say is keep hustling, but work smart when you go out and find this, you know, this extra work. So appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, definitely.
And you have a good night. All right.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Bye. All right, guys. So what you just experienced was basically a phone call that we offered to call one of our listeners. And so on the Heavy Checklist Instagram page, he sent us his phone number, and that was a conversation we had. Jose is a super cool dude, and I think we're going to try to do that at least once, one call per podcast. And then we're also going to possibly grab some of our great guests like Matt tonight and maybe just sit down and answer calls for an hour or two. And as we take those calls, we'll obviously try to keep them brief. And so if you are part of one of those, opportunities, do us a favor and just get right to the question if you can, and we will get you the most sincere answer we possibly can. But I mean, I would have paid a lot of money back in the day to be able to have access to a guy like you, Matt. So this is free, guys. So take advantage of it. Appreciate you listening, and tune in next week because we're just getting better and better.